Hello ICP friends, let's talk about Bob. So unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware of this new token called Bob that took the ICP ecosystem by storm during the last couple of days. Bob is actually an acronym and it stands for Blockchain on Blockchain. It is a new project that is supposedly replicating the Bitcoin consensus mechanism and it's built on top of ICP. But of course, there's a catch to it. Unlike Bitcoin, which enters circulation through mining using raw electricity, Bob miners use cycles instead. If you're not familiar with the ICP architecture, you can think of cycles as a currency that you get for burning ICP, and in turn you use it to power up your canister smart contracts. To make sure a canister is properly working, cycles must be burned constantly. As long as your Bob miner works, it helps solving complex mathematical calculations, and for every block your miner solves, you are rewarded with 600 Bob tokens. These blocks happen once every 432 seconds, so roughly around every 7 minutes someone gets rewarded. The more miners you have running at the same time, the more chances you have to be the one who solves the block and reap the rewards. On top of that, you can also increase the burn rate of your miners to increase their power in exchange for burning more cycles. But keep in mind that doing so will make it more expensive to run them, so you must find the perfect balance that works for you. I currently have 20 miners, 16 of them running at a 2 trillion cycles burn rate, while 4 of them are maxed out at 14 trillion cycles. If you got confused by the terms cycles and trillion cycles, they're pretty much the same, it's just that the conversion rate is roughly $1 for 1 trillion cycles. Now, to get a rough idea whether you should get into mining Bob, I'll tell you what my results are after roughly 2 days of mining Bob. I started with 20 miners that cost me 20 ICP to set up. This setup allowed me to mine 3 blocks in 48 hours, amounting to a total of 1,800 Bob, which is currently priced at $1.15 per token, $2,000 with a 250 setup cost. Now, keep in mind that the more people mine this thing at the same time, the lower your chance to successfully mine a block. I would consider myself lucky for mining those 3 blocks, considering there are about 8,500 active miners right now, and new miners are popping up every minute. Before I show you how to start mining Bob, keep in mind that in the end this is a lottery, and even if you set up 100 miners at maximum burn rate, there's a chance that 24 hours may pass without solving any block yourself. If you want to check it out and have some fun with it, go right ahead, but under no circumstance put your life savings into it because you will likely get wrecked. Considering you did your research and decided that you want to get into mining Bob, here's how you do it. Head over to bob.fun and log in using your internet identity. If you don't already have an identity, create one using this link. It only takes a couple of seconds. Once you're logged in on the Bob website, click the Treasury tab and send some ICP to the account ID displayed there. Keep in mind that you need 1 ICP for every new miner that you want to set up. Head over to the Mining tab and click the New Miner button. After about 30 seconds, your new miner should appear in the list. If for some reason it doesn't appear, try to refresh the page. If it still doesn't appear, click Failed under the button you clicked to create your miner. You'll see that there are multiple columns with important data about your miners. You can think of the canister ID as the name your miner has on the blockchain. This is very important and we'll use it a bit later when I'll show you how to top up your miners for cheaper than on the Bob website. Blocks mined represents the number of successful blocks each of your individual miners solved, and hashes computed is the amount of calculations each of your miners did. Consumption limit is an important one since you can use the slider to power up your miners to burn more cycles and increase their chance of mining a block. The more they consume, the more expensive it is to keep them online, so as I mentioned earlier, find a balance that works for you. If you want to keep things simple and reduce the setup cost, instead of running 7 miners at 2 trillion cycles burn rate, consider running a single one at maximum 14 trillion cycles a day. Cycle balance is probably the most important column since it shows you how many cycles there are left in your miner. Always keep an eye on this, because if it reaches 0, your miners will stop until you fuel up with more cycles. I check the amount of cycles at least once a day to make sure my miners have enough to run. When it comes to adding more cycles to your miners, there are several methods, but I'm only going to highlight 2 of them, the easiest one and the cheapest one. The easiest method is obviously obviously using the top up button next to your miners in the Bob website, but this method is quite expensive and it will burn through your ICP extremely fast. Feel free to use it, but keep in mind that this method will increase your cost of acquisition per block. The second method, which is the one I currently use, is by utilizing a cool service, CycleOps. This service was built to keep track of canisters and as an easy method to make sure your canisters never run out of cycles. To set it up, you need to go to cycleops.dev and log in using your internet identity. Once you're logged in, go through the initial setup and you will eventually stumble upon this screen. Select the black hole monitoring option and fill the required data. To get your canister ID, simply go to the Bob website and copy the canister ID from there. In the canister name field, name your canister using a simple naming convention, especially if you have multiple miners so that it's easy to keep track of them. I named my canisters Bob_001, 002, and so on. Threshold and amount aren't really important since we want to manually fuel up our canisters, so just give both a value of 1. We don't want to give control to the black hole, so simply go back to the cycleops.dev main page. Now you should see something like this, and if successful, it means that your canister was successfully added to the list. Before being able to top up your miners from here, you need to send some ICP to your CycleOps account. Click the billing button at the top of the page, go to payment method and click deposit. Send some ICP to that address and that's pretty much it. Now you can go back to the canisters page and use the top up button to fuel your miners for cheaper. I hope this video helped. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if I missed anything out. Also, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter and let me know if you want me to create more tutorials about different applications on ICP or if you want me to explain anything ICP related in future videos. Until next time.